Welcome to This Explainer. Now, when most of us think about the massive explosion of manufacturing and technology happening in India right now, our minds almost immediately jump to semiconductors, software services, or, the shiny new consumer gadgets. But today, we're going to dig a little deeper. We're going to explore a company that operates in a totally hidden, yet absolutely critical layer that actually makes those advanced systems work. Today, we're tearing down Centum Electronics. Just a quick heads up before we really get going, this explainer is strictly for educational purposes. It's not a direct buy or sell recommendation, so always do your own due diligence and talk to a pro, because investing always carries risks. Okay, let's get into it. Here is our roadmap for today. We're going to start with India's hidden electronics layer, take a look inside Centum's actual business model, break down their financial fundamentals, decode the stock chart, and finally, wrap it up with the big picture. All right, part 1, India's hidden electronics layer. We're starting with the macro view here, looking way past the mainstream consumer tech to find the hidden engines driving India's economy. Look, you really can't understand a company's potential without understanding the wind at its back, right? And right now, India's massive push for self-reliance is creating a massive long-term runway for domestic suppliers. We are talking about major structural tailwinds here. Government initiatives like Make in India and this really heavy push for defense localization mean that sourcing parts domestically isn't just a nice-to-have anymore, it is a strict strategic mandate. Combine that with the China Plus One strategy, where global companies are literally scrambling to find alternatives to concentrated supply chains, and suddenly Indian electronics manufacturers are gaining insane strategic importance. Moving into part 2, inside Centum's business model. Let's zoom right in and look at exactly what Centum does in this rapidly shifting landscape. So you're going to see the Centum brand tied to some seriously high-barrier, mission-critical manufacturing. They are very intentionally setting themselves apart from low-end commodity assemblers, and this is a super vital distinction to make. Centum isn't just, snapping together cheap plastics for throwaway consumer goods. They operate in industries where rigorous certifications, absolute zero-fail reliability, and incredibly deep engineering capabilities are just the baseline to even play the game. To get specific, they live in a space called ESDM, Electronic System Design and Manufacturing. The crucial takeaway here is that they aren't just some pure contract manufacturer waiting around for someone to hand them a blueprint. They actually design, manufacture, and integrate incredibly complex electronic products for mission-critical applications. It's that rare combination of high-level design brainpower mixed with top-tier manufacturing execution that creates a massive barrier to entry for any potential competitors. I absolutely love this comparison because it perfectly illustrates their model. It's the brawn versus the brain. To really grasp the value they provide, think about it like this. Defense companies build the actual missile systems, right? Aerospace companies build the physical airplanes. That's the brawn. Centum does not build the missile. Instead, they build the highly reliable electronic nervous system, the brain, that actually allows those massive machines to function flawlessly. They've got their hands in a bunch of advanced industries, pumping out precision electronics for industrial, medical, and transportation applications, and they even do a lot of global exporting. But look at that huge chunk for defense and aerospace. Why does that matter to us? Because high-reliability electronics in those specific sectors involve incredibly long development and qualification cycles. It takes years, but once you're in, you are in. It creates incredibly sticky client relationships and gives them amazing visibility into their future business. Now, this number is just wild. Over 600. That is the number of specialized design engineers Centum currently has on staff. Having an absolute army of 600-plus design engineers creates a ridiculous competitive moat. This is the raw intellectual capital required to tackle these complex, multi-year engineering problems that your run-of-the-mill manufacturer simply can't touch. Okay, part 3, the financial fundamentals. Let's shift gears from what they build to how well they execute it by looking at the hard numbers. Looking at the leap from FY24 to FY25, you see this really steady, reliable trajectory. Consolidated revenue grew a steady 6%, pushing past the 1,164 crore mark. But honestly, the real story here is their operational efficiency. EBITDA jumped up to 97 crore, pushing their margins from 7.9 up to 8.4%. Basically, they're just getting much better operating leverage out of the work they are already doing. Now, the headline growth was 6%, but here is the kicker. When you dig a little deeper and adjust the gross revenue, they actually saw a really robust 13% growth in FY25. And that was directly driven by improving execution on their existing projects and bringing in higher order inflows. And all that efficiency, It is fueled by an absolute monster of an order book for FY25, 1,736 crore rupees. That is up huge from roughly 1,118 crore the year before. For anyone studying business models, seeing an expanding order book of that magnitude, especially in a long-cycle industry like defense, that gives the company incredible revenue predictability for the years ahead. Let's roll into part 4, decoding the stock chart. Fundamentals are great, but let's see how all of this translates into the technical performance of their stock. To make sense of the technicals, we first got to define a true classic chart formation you are going to see in the data, the cup with handle base. It's this bullish consolidation pattern that basically shows a stock pausing, absorbing selling pressure, and just gathering its strength before making a potential upward move through a specific price ceiling, which traders call the pivot level. Notice that massive cup formation stretching over the past 27 weeks. The stock spent a very healthy half year just consolidating, building out that nice rounded bottom and the slight downward handle before making a critical breakout past that 2,962 rupee pivot area. It is a textbook visual of a stock digesting a big prior run-up before structurally moving to higher ground. And the broader technical indicators, they totally back up this structural growth story. The stock has been trading in a pretty wide 52-week range, from roughly 1,680 up to 3,199 rupees. As of May 2026, it's been consolidating broadly around the 2,980 to 3,050 mark after some really strong rallies. But here's the best part. If you look at the volume bars during these rallies, especially right after earnings, you see these massive institutional volume spikes. That confirms that the big money is actively participating in this story. Finally, we arrive at part 5, the big picture. Let's zoom all the way out to weigh the holistic risk-to-reward scenario. We've got to be objective and look at the full picture here. The tailwinds of domestic defense spending, expanding electronics manufacturing, and that massive order book are incredible, right? But we absolutely have to acknowledge the inherent risks. This isn't some lean software-as-a-service company. Electronics manufacturing is highly capital-intensive. Centum faces elevated working capital risks, simply because defense and aerospace projects have super long, milestone-based billing cycles. Their net profitability is always going to fluctuate depending on their project mix, depreciation, and financing costs. Which brings us to the ultimate takeaway. As India rapidly accelerates its defense and electronics capabilities, and as global manufacturing pipelines aggressively rewire themselves to diversify away from single countries, it leaves us with one fascinating question. Are high-barrier engineering moats, the companies doing the complex, unglamorous, mission-critical brainwork, are they the true hidden winners of this entire global supply chain shift? It is going to be an absolutely incredible space to watch. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.